The strategy has to be different because the continent are very different from Middle East to Africa and to Turkey. We have markets which are very different. Middle East is very mature market with a very large liquidity, a number of competitors active on the market, either local or international banks. You have a strong appetite. So it's completely different from Africa, for instance, where you don't have the same players. The projects are probably not as good as they are in Middle East in terms of credit profile. So you have to involve ECAs, multilateral institutions, insurance, and so the commercial banks are not as active in Africa or in Turkey than in Middle East. So you have to find other way to finance the projects. Having said that, we have some exceptions. For instance, South Africa has a very active market with local banks. We have also Morocco, which starts to be also quite active with local banks, and Turkey as well. So these continents are completely different one from the other. So we are now in a situation where, for instance, in Middle East, the local banks, which were extremely active, competitive, and aggressive over the last months, start to suffer from the low oil price, and so what we probably can expect from the next year is international banks coming back on this market. Probably lower liquidity, and so terms and conditions being a little bit less aggressive than before. On the other region, and for instance in Africa, the market is booming. We see the countries doing some efforts to put in place some frameworks and some roadmaps which are more clear to attract fundings. So we expect local banks and international banks to have more appetite and probably compete or work better with the DFIs and the ECAs in this region. So it's a very important conference for the region, and for Natixis it provides a fantastic exposure to the main players active in this market. The sponsors, the lawyers, and the developers, etc. So it's a very interesting to have everybody seeing the brand of Natixis in this moment. And it comes in a moment where the bank is developing its franchise in this MENA region. So it's a very great opportunity for us, and we thank you for that. I'd like to have a panel which is very active, and we may have to repeat some of the things that have been discussed today. So we have to find some innovative ways and new topics to discuss. What I would like to do is to create some intense debate between the people. We have a mix of international banks and local banks, so I really would like to have some punchy discussions between the panel.